Okay, have and have not fans. This is a video I'm pretty sure I covered the topic in a blog or video before, but I've decided to do like a redux, a updated version because a lot of stuff has happened in the past few episodes, and it has to go into deep theory. This is probably going to be a little bit longer of a video here because it's not necessarily an episode review. It's not really a theory. It's more of a question I'm posing to you all, and I really want to get your feedback on it. So as always, I'll say my 2 cents, giving evidence from the series, and just trying to go from there. And honestly, I will say, and again, I know I haven't been doing videos as often as I said I was, considering I don't have school anymore. Honestly, I'm enjoying doing these kind of like these theory videos as opposed to episode reviews because we've all seen the episode. In my theory videos, I always kind of try to pick up on stuff that might have been missed out in terms of dialogue and sequences. So personally, I feel really good doing more theory videos than anything else. So with that being said, this topic is when it comes to the Harrington marriage, who is more responsible for it falling apart? So obviously I'm talking about David and Veronica here, and there are going to be several elements I'm going to be talking about, and it might be like a point system if you want to call it that. Honestly, there are some categories where it's hard to tell who wins, but let's just break it down here. Now, I'd say that when it comes to parenting, I would say that David gets this point, and the reason being is because he actually accepts Jeffrey for who he is as a homosexual. Regardless, he sees his son, he doesn't see a gay black man. Veronica, on the other hand, obviously opposes this. I mean, given the fact that she set up Melissa and her family, taking hold of the businesses, and literally Melissa's father's health or life is in her icy grip. If Melissa doesn't do everything Veronica wants, she won't continue to pay for the medicine and whatnot to allow her dad, to live. And I mean, we never met Melissa's mom, but dang, it sounds like she's almost as conniving as Veronica, given the fact that I believe Veronica approached Melissa's mom with the deal that, hey, if you allow your daughter to get knocked up by my son and get married, I'll take care of you and the family. So there's that, not to mention the whole letting Quincy beat Jeffrey and threaten him scenario. And I will say that David does get this point, but looking at season 1, if you really look close, David really isn't around Jeffrey when you think about it. The only time we really see them together is like at the birthday party, Jim's birthday party at episode 1 when he turned 50. Then we seen, when Jeffrey is there, when David and Jim announce they're going for the governor's mansion. Really, he's Wyatt's shadow in that season. And pretty much Veronica is there to put her foot in front of the door because it's like Jeffrey's trying to put a crack in the closet door to come out, but Veronica putting her foot down so it stays closed. And honestly, some of this video is going to be covering not only details from the series as a whole, but we have to look at some of the key dialogue and clues that we get to pre-have and have not activity. I'm talking about stuff that happened prior to episode 1, but it has been mentioned in the canon, if you will, the haves and the have-nots. Canon as in it was mentioned in dialogue by key characters of the show, so it indeed happened, even though we haven't seen it on screen. I just wanted to make that clear. And again, it really does go to show that Tyler Perry should indeed do like a pre-have and have-not movie, stuff that happened prior to the series beginning, just to give us more, clues and hints and more insight to who these people were and how they came to be the people they are now. Like Catherine and Jim meeting up in high school and whatnot. But again, that's another video or idea for another time. Looking at pre-have and have-not activity, I'm willing to bet that Veronica was the one who wore the pants in terms of parenting Jeffrey, just because of how, as Candace pointed out, Jeffrey turns to a 5-year-old whenever Veronica comes around. And that comes from, him living under her thumb, like becoming the person she wanted him to be, going into psychology, but for some reason being one class shy of getting his degree, working at the rehab clinic, pretty much just living the life that she wanted him to live no matter what. And that's why he's so in the closet, because every time he showed some kind of flamboyant or homosexual tendencies, Veronica was quick to nip it in the bud. It's like she said, the reason she had him assigned to Wyatt was, he's a womanizer, given, the drunks and the alcohol and the drugs. Forget about that for a second. He's a womanizer. He loves women. She was thinking that him being around somebody like that would keep him from being gay, but make him straight. But obviously, the opposite occurred. Now, another thing to point out is that Veronica wasn't always as cold-hearted as she is now, because David even said that she's always been controlling, but not to the extent she is now. And also look at the fact that the episode where David is in the hospital visiting Wyatt, and I believe Hannah was the one to tell him his wife was down the hall because Jeffrey stabbed her. He goes in the room and talks about the bully. I forgot his name. The bully that Jeffrey took a baseball bat and nearly beat him to death with it. I think he put him in like a coma. And the bully's mom wanted to sue, but Veronica defended him and kept the lawsuit from coming. So it goes to show that she does defend her cub when the time comes, but something just changed. Something just changed. So again, when it comes down to parenting, David accepting Jeffrey for who he is and willing to support him, even though it did take a long time for him to do so, he gets that point in my book. Now, when it comes to trust, I will say that David is more trusting, but he seems to be, I feel like him being passive can be counted. I feel like he's more passive than trusting. Here's what I mean by this. Veronica burning down the house with him in it, just acting out, tearing up the bar at the Serena Hotel, as David would put it, it's just a cry for help. And no, she was literally trying to kill you, man. And he does generally love her, but I feel like that's pretty much come to a head once he presented those divorce papers, because there are many times where he could have threw his hands up and said, I'm done. And everybody's like, dude, she's crazy. You should leave this woman. What are you doing? Like, he just stuck by her side. Now, when it comes to Veronica, it's clear that she's paranoid all the time. She thinks that everything is a conspiracy to ruin her and her, life, or, her perfect little life. And I will say this much. Looking at season 1, I feel that she had a legitimate gripe in terms of David, because remember, she had the private eye follow David and take pictures of when he was giving the red sports car to Candace. And then he technically didn't lie about it so much as withholding information, because he said, no, I'm working on a case with a client. I had to deliver the car. I don't want you involved, blah, 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 blah. Basically, he was covering up Jim's affair with Candace. And then, of course, when things turned around where Veronica had to get Benny out of jail, she figured everything out. I mean, season 1 is actually when I like Veronica, but that just goes to show that things were rocky as soon as that occurred, when she was looking for the gym bag. It was the one she gave David for his birthday. He used that bag to give Candace the $100,000 in cash, and when she was looking for it, she couldn't find it, and then he lied about it. So, I will say that in terms of trust, David loses this round. I know it's hard to believe, but when you compare that to everything Veronica did, it is small, but at the same time, a lie is a lie, even if, it's withholding information or whatever you want to call it. So right now it's a tie. And I guess the next round here is kind of going into trust, but let's just talk about infidelity. Personally, I think that I'm going to give this round to Veronica, but I cringe when I say that, because I don't want to assume here, but we have to go off what we do know, but really it's only been hinted at. That goes along with Jennifer Salison. She's been trying to get with David in terms of, her groping him in the holding cell in the prison. That was a pretty hot scene. But at the same time, it came out of nowhere. And literally there was no build up for this. I did kind of predict this. It was when Jennifer came over to the Cryer house, and it was, the Harringtons and the Cryers, and then she had the tape recorded confession of Wyatt. And then when Veronica was literally lashing out, she was just calling her bitch and everything. And then David held Salison back, and then right there, I remember making the meme. It's like, oh, Veronica, I'm surprised you didn't jump on David for defending Jennifer. You think he's sleeping with her too? Now, we only know that Jennifer has been trying to get with David a few times, but he's been loyal to Veronica even when she's trying to hurt him. So The thing is, we know that this kind of fling or whatever flirtation has occurred before the haves and have not started in episode 1. But the unanswered question is whether or not those two were sleeping together while David was married, or what if in law school or college or whatever, when he met Veronica and Jim, did Jennifer try to get with David, but because he was loyal to Veronica, he didn't leave her? Little things like that. So I can't be 100% certain that David has had affairs, but I don't know. So honestly, because I'm pretty sure he has, even though David is my favorite character, he does have skeletons in his closet. He's just not like he's not a public cemetery like Jim's affairs where everybody just knows everything about it. And he doesn't have outside kids to my knowledge. So personally, I feel like David might lose this round. Yes, Veronica did sleep with Benny out of spite and to make David jealous because she thought that Maggie and David slept together. They didn't. She was correct in that Maggie wanted David. She was incorrect in assuming that those two slept together initially. Eventually, they did sleep together, but that's only after, that's only after David had enough, after he found out about the hit Jim supposedly put on Veronica and said that, no, I'm not getting you out of jail yet because you're safer here. And that's when he literally got fed up with it. They almost slept together, what was it, at the end of season 2, beginning of season 3. But David couldn't go through with it. So he has been in Alright, I'm not taking sides here. I'm not in a relationship or married, so I can't really judge this. And yes, it's a fictional relationship, but it's really real based off the actors and whatnot. I'm not saying that David was right for getting in bed with Maggie. I'm talking about at the end of season 3 where Quincy beat up Jim and Jeffrey, Veronica, and David had that talk outside where, it was just a shame what Veronica was doing. And then David went back to the Sarandon fed up with everything. And then he was in bed with Maggie, but they didn't have sex. They were kissing and whatnot, but they didn't have sex. I think that, honestly, no matter whose side you're on, even if you're neutral, you have to admit that David was a good man for sticking in there after everything Veronica had done at that point. And he, honestly, even though he was the one to physically go into Maggie's room, she pushed him in there. Yes, he tried to give Veronica a call. She didn't pick up the phone. He stared at the door like it was the darn Chronicles of Narnia. So he did, honestly, he didn't have to do it, but I felt like he did what he felt he had to do because he couldn't find comfort with his own wife. So, it's like what's the saying? If a woman keeps telling a man no, eventually that man's going to find a woman who's going to say yes. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So when it comes to infidelity, I loosely say that Veronica wins this round. True, she slept with Benny multiple times, bragged about it to David's face. It was even in the newspaper. But if it is true that Jennifer and David might have had some kind of fling in the past prior to the haves and have-nots, Veronica wins this round. But if we learn more information about the backstory behind Jennifer and David later on, if it turns out that those two never had sex, but Jennifer kept throwing herself at David, but he said no, this round goes to David. So again, it depends on a lot of factors. So far it's Veronica 2, David 1. And really, there's some more factors, but I think those were the key three in terms of, infidelity, trust, parenting, and just when it comes, I feel like this is going to be the good closeout. The last category, and this is pretty much the L word, love. Like who was more involved in the marriage itself. Personally speaking, I feel that David wins this round by default. I don't think it's any kind of question here. The reason I say this is because David stuck through all Veronica's and excuse the French shit. Here's what I mean. There was the time where, if I'm not mistaken, she hurt her back and she got addicted to the pain pills. She had to go to rehab. David was by her side through it all. Again, unless Jennifer tried to slide in during Veronica's time in rehab. I don't know this. We don't know this. So again, I can only go off what I know. And just like Veronica said that, she stuck by him in terms of helping them build the Harrington dynasty, if you will, in terms of being successful law people, judges and lawyers and building their family. I do agree with that, but I feel like David put up with more crap. Yes, say what you want about David, but I feel like he put up with more crap than Veronica. I feel like Veronica caused her own problems by her paranoia, by trying to make this black family dynasty perfect picture kind of lifestyle where no smudges on that picture frame was allowed. That includes Jeffrey being gay, women wanting David's attention. If any of them step out of line, it's not. Here's what I think. I feel like Veronica does love her family, but I feel like her love of control trumps everything else. I feel like that, again, it goes back to, Veronica losing it. And I feel like that scene where she was tearing up the Sarandon Hotel bar and David just stood there without even blinking or without even any hint of surprise on his face. You can tell based off that look that he has seen Veronica like this before. I bet it was during her stint on, those pain pills and whatnot. And she gave up alcohol for quite a while because I'm pretty sure she was in drunken rages as well. And he just, like he wasn't fazed by it at all because he has seen it before. So I think at the end of the day, and again, I didn't make this video as a cop out ending, but I think it's a tie where both, because at the end of the day, it's a 2-2. Parenting, love, trust, and infidelity. It's 2-2. I mean, if there's a category that you think might fit in here for a number 5 to break the tie, by all means, leave it in the comment section below. Yeah, you can argue that, David's reliability and trust in Jim and their friendship trumps the marriage between him and Veronica. But honestly, even that friendship has some rocky road, bumps in the road to it. But honestly, at the end of the day, I think both sides are responsible for the fall of the Harrington marriage. I can't wait to see where things are going next because, again, it's only episode 3 that aired last Tuesday, and we're this far into the season. So much action. So with that being said, I'm going to bring this video to a close. Let me know who you think. Was it David? Was it Veronica? Was it a third party that is truly responsible for their marriage falling apart?